It starts on a Friday evening that feels heavier than it should. Atlanta sky is bruised purple, clouds low and swollen, smearing rain across the apartment windows, the kind of rain that makes traffic crawl and tempers short. Inside a small two-bedroom on the east side, the air smells like garlic, onions, and the faint sweetness of crayons. Maya stands at the stove, one hand stirring a pot of spaghetti sauce, the other holding a spelling worksheet. She's 28. Dark curls piled into a messy bun, wearing an old college t-shirt and leggings splattered with flour from the garlic bread she just put in the oven. At the tiny kitchen table, 6-year-old Jalen hunches over his homework, pencil gripped too tight. His tongue peeks out the corner of his mouth as he sounds out each word. "Okay," Maya says gently, reading from the sheet. "Next one, basket." He squints. Basket. Basket. "There you go," she smiles. "Use it in a sentence." He thinks hard. Auntie Maya put my toys in a basket so I don't trip on them." She laughs. "Exactly, so you don't break your neck in my living room." He giggles, the sound soft and bright. From the TV in the living room, a basketball game murmurs in the background. Low volume, just enough to fill the quiet. On the couch, there's an empty space where her husband should be sitting. Devin texted an hour ago. Running late. "Tiana bringing Jalen over?" "You got him, right?" She always got him. There's a quick knock, then the front door swings open before she can answer. Devin's older sister, Tiana, breezes in on a gust of perfume and rain, hair in a sleek bob, lashes dramatic, heels clicking too loud on the worn wood floor. "Whew," Tiana says, dropping a stuffed backpack by the door. "Traffic is insane." "Girl, I gotta be across town in 20 minutes. Maya wipes her hands on a dish towel and steps out of the kitchen. "Hey, T," she says. "You made it. Did you bring Jalen's inhaler this time? And his school folder?" They said, "Relax, babysitter." Devin's voice cuts in, right on cue. He appears behind his sister, finally home, baseball cap backwards, fresh haircut, smelling like cologne and rain. He kisses Maya on the cheek, like he's clocking in, and claps Jalen on the back. "There he is, man of the hour," Devin grins. "Your favorite babysitter got you, low man. You know Auntie Maya loves playing mama." The word stings a little and warms her at the same time. Jalen slides off the chair and runs to hug Tiana's legs. "Hi, Mommy," he says, voice hopeful. Tiana gives him a quick squeeze, but doesn't bend all the way down. "Hey, baby," she says, already checking her phone. "Mama's got a networking thing tonight. Grown-up stuff." "You know I'll see you soon." He said that last time, he mumbles, almost too low to hear. Maya hears it. She always hears the quiet things. "His homework is almost done," Maya says, trying to keep the edge out of her voice. "He has that field trip on Monday, so we need the permission slip signed. And his teacher said she really needs—" Devin laughs, already moving toward the kitchen to lift the lid on the pot. "Here she go," he says to Tiana. "Caseworker Maya. Social worker Maya. Girl, it's not that deep. We dropping him with family. He's good. You know how many kids wish they had aunties like you?" Tiana snorts, sliding her phone into her purse. "Exactly," she says. "You love kids anyway. You basically nanny 911. I swear, I'm gonna put you on payroll one day." She laughs like it's a compliment. Maya forces a small smile she doesn't feel. "I just want to make sure he has what he needs," Maya says quietly. "Which he does," Devin replies, opening the fridge. "He got a roof over his head and spaghetti on the stove. What else you want? A parade?" What she wants is stability, a clear answer, a plan. Instead, she gets jokes. Tiana leans down finally and kisses Jalen's forehead. "Be good for your auntie and uncle, okay?" she says. "I'll call you." She's halfway out the door before he can ask when. The door closes. The apartment feels smaller and bigger at the same time. Maya watches Jalen's shoulders slump. He drags his backpack a little too slowly down the hall to put it in his room. The guest room that's become a semi-permanent childhood, full of mismatched clothes and drawings taped to the wall. Devin comes up behind her, wraps his arms loosely around her waist. "Hey," he says. He says into her neck, playful. "Don't be mad. You know T loves you. She trusts you. That's why she drops him here. That's a compliment." "It's been 5 months," Maya says softly. "He was supposed to stay for a weekend." "So," Devin shrugs, "we family, that's how black families do. We help." "I know we help," she says, turning to face him. "But helping is one thing. Being the only one who knows where his inhaler is, who his teacher is, when his next appointment is, that's not just helping, that's parenting." Devin's smile fades a little. "Here you go with these big words," he says. "Parenting. Responsibility. Girl, you doing too much. You're great with him. You love him. What's the problem?" She looks at him. "The problem is," she says, "I'm doing mom stuff with no mom authority. If something happens, nobody's gonna ask me for permission. They'll ask the people who are never here." He snorts, already reaching for the remote. "You worry too much, Maya. That's why you're eye-twitching all the time," he says. "Relax. You're just the babysitter. The grown folks will handle the paperwork when it's time." Just the babysitter. The words land like a tiny stone in her chest. Later that night, after dinner, the apartment settles into its usual rhythm. Cartoons, then bath, then that endless negotiation children do with bedtime. 5 more minutes, Jalen pleads. 2, Maya counters, tucking the blanket around him. "You got soccer practice tomorrow, and church on Sunday. We not showing up with you looking like a sleepy raccoon." He grins, then grows serious. "Auntie Maya," he whispers. "Yeah, baby. Can I stay here forever?" he asks. "I don't like when Mommy's friend comes over. The loud one. They yell, and the house smells funny. Here it smells like cookies." Something inside her twists. She keeps her face soft. "Right now you're here," she says, "and you're safe. That's what matters. Close your eyes." He nods, but his little hand grips her sleeve until he drifts off. Out in the hallway, she leans against the wall and exhales, staring up at the ceiling like it might have answers. The next afternoon, they all end up at Devin's mother's house for a family cookout. The backyard is packed. Uncles at the grill, cousins in folding chairs, kids running underfoot with sticky fingers and loud laughter. Music hums from a Bluetooth speaker, the smell of smoke and barbecue thick in the air. Maya stands at the patio table assembling hot dogs, automatically checking which kids need extra napkins, which ones might be allergic to something. Jalen sticks close to her side like a shadow. "Boy, go play," Devin calls from across the yard. "You stuck to Maya like glue." Jalen hesitates, then runs off to chase Bubbles. Maya watches him half smiling, half anxious. Devin's mother, Miss Lorraine, waddles over in her church sandals, plate piled high. "That boy done got big," she says between bites. "Maya, you feeding him too good. You go have to roll him into 1st grade." Maya laughs. "He just likes my mac and cheese. That's all," she says. "Hey, Ma, can I ask you something? Have y'all talked about long term? Like how long he's supposed to stay with us? School starts back in a few weeks. I need to know which address to put down, who's signing the forms, that kind of thing." Miss Lorraine waves a dismissive hand. "Girl, you and these forms," she says, "always got some paper in your hand. He's staying with y'all till Tiana get on her feet. You know that. Y'all young, y'all can keep up with him." "Right, but," Devin appears behind Maya like he felt the conversation from across the yard. "Lord, here we go," he says, grinning wide for the family. Maya, the babysitter, trying to upgrade herself. People chuckle politely. "What's wrong with wanting to know what's going on?" Maya says, stung. "I'm the one taking him to school and the doctor. I just want clarity." Devin slings an arm around her shoulders, pulling her into his side like a joke. "Relax, y'all," he says to the circle. "My wife is a little intense. She thinks she's Mother Teresa. You know, you're just the babysitter, right, babe? We the real parents up in here." He laughs, expecting everyone to join in. Some do, some don't. Miss Lorraine chuckles, patting Maya's arm. "He playing," she says. "You know he loves you. You're good with kids, that's all." Maya forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Across the yard, Jalen's playing tag. He trips, scrapes his knee, looks up automatically, not at his mother, not at his uncle, but at Maya. Before she even realizes she's moving, she's already halfway to him with a napkin and a soothing voice. "I got you," she says, cleaning the tiny scrape. "You're okay, you're okay." He buries his face in her shoulder for a second, like she's home. Behind her she can feel Devon's eyes on her back. She can almost hear the unspoken thoughts. Look at her, taking it too serious. It's not that deep. That night, when they're back in their apartment and Jalen's finally asleep, Maya stands at the sink washing dishes, the words still echoing in her head. Just the babysitter. The faucet runs hot over her hands. The kitchen is quiet, except for the clink of plates and the low hum of the fridge. She thinks about permission slips, doctor forms, emergency contacts. All the lines where her name is scribbled in, but only in pencil, never in ink. And for the first time, the question that's been whispering in the back of her mind for months finally lands in clear, heavy words. If I'm just the babysitter, why is this child's whole life resting in my hands? She doesn't know it yet, but the next time someone asks, who's responsible for this boy? It won't be in a backyard with plastic chairs and paper plates. It'll be under fluorescent lights with a clipboard in someone else's hands, and the answer she gives will change everything. It happens on a Tuesday, the kind that looks normal until it doesn't. The day starts with cereal and missing socks, a rushed, "Come on, we're going to be late," and Jalen nearly forgetting his backpack at the door. Maya drops him at school, kisses his forehead, and reminds him of the spelling test. "Don't forget basket," she teases. He grins, repeats it perfectly, and runs inside. She spends the day at her receptionist job downtown, answering phones and scheduling appointments while her brain quietly runs a second schedule in the background. Soccer practice, laundry, what to make for dinner that won't get complaints. By the time she picks Jalen up from aftercare, he's quieter than usual. His eyes look a little glassy, but he insists he's fine, just tired. Atlanta heat presses down heavy as they walk from the school door to the car, air like warm soup. At home, she notices the first real sign that something's wrong. He pushes away his favorite chicken tenders after 2 bites. "You okay, baby?" she asks, hands slipping to his forehead. He's hot, not just been playing outside hot, deep, stubborn heat. "My chest feels funny," he whispers, putting a hand over his sternum. Like a rock is on it. A flicker of panic runs through her. He has mild asthma. Tiana mentioned it once in passing, like a footnote. The inhaler is somewhere in his backpack, or maybe in the plastic bin of Jalen's stuff in the hallway closet, maybe at his mother's place. The information has always been hazy, parceled out in fragments. "Where's your inhaler, baby?" Maya asks, trying to keep her voice calm. His eyes well up. "I don't know," he says. "I think it's at Mommy's, but she moved it. I forgot." Of course. She checks the time. 7:42 p.m. Devon is running behind again. Some last-minute thing with a client. Tiana hasn't called all day. Maya grabs her phone. "Hey," she says when he picks up. "Jalen's not feeling right. I think he's wheezing. Where's his inhaler?" Devon's voice crackles over the noise of a loud bar. "He got asthma like that? He was fine this weekend," he says. "Just give him some tea or something. Stop panicking." "I'm not panicking," she says, even though she is. "His chest hurts. He's hot. If it gets worse, I'm taking him to the ER." "And the ER for a cold? That copay ain't cheap." She stares at the little boy on the couch, curled on his side, hand still on his chest. "Then you can argue with the bill later," she says, voice suddenly steel. "I'm not gambling with his lungs." She hangs up before he can argue. 10 minutes later, the funny breathing turns into shallow gasps, a faint whistle with every inhale. His little shoulders lifting too high, working too hard. That's it. She throws on his shoes, wraps him in a hoodie, and rushes to the car, heart pounding harder than the rain starting to slap the windshield. The ER is bright and cold and humming, monitors beeping, wheels squeaking, murmurs of other families' emergencies bleeding together. Fluorescent lights make everyone look tired. At the reception desk, a nurse looks up, face professional, posture bored. "Hi," Maya says, trying to keep her voice steady. "My nephew, he's having trouble breathing. He has asthma. He feels really hot." The nurse's eyes snap sharp. "Name?" she asks, already reaching for a bracelet. Jalen Carter," Maya says, 6 years old. "Relationship to the child?" Maya hesitates. "I'm his aunt," she says. "He's been living with us." "Are you legal guardian?" The words hang there like a trap. Maya swallows. She could lie, but if something goes wrong and paperwork doesn't match? "No," she admits. "His mom is. She's not here yet. His uncle's at work. I brought him." The nurse studies her for half a second, takes in the way Jalen has his arms latched around Maya's neck, face buried there like she's the only safe spot in the room. "Put him in this wheelchair," the nurse says briskly. "We're going to triage." They move fast. Vitals, pulse ox, stethoscope pressed against his tiny back. Maya's answers come automatically. How long he's been wheezing, when the fever started, what he ate, where they live, what school he goes to. "What pharmacy do you use?" the respiratory tech asks while fitting a mask over Jalen's nose and mouth for a nebulizer treatment. "Target on Moreland," she says without thinking. "Who usually brings him to the pediatrician?" "Me," she says. "But the file is under his mom's name, Tiana Carter." The tech glances at her, then at the child clinging to her hand. "Okay," he says. "Just stay with him and keep him calm." They settle into a little curtained bay in the pediatric section, machines whirring softly. The breathing treatment hisses while cartoon animals dance silently on a TV mounted in the corner. Jalen looks small in the hospital gown, mask dwarfing his face. "Auntie Maya?" he whispers around it. "I'm right here," she says, fingers stroking his hair. "Breathe, in and out, like we practiced, blowing out birthday candles slow. Remember?" He nods, eyes on her face, like it's the only thing tethering him to earth. An hour passes in that strange hospital time, where minutes stretch and fold, but the clock still ticks. A woman in business casual clothes steps in, clipboard in hand, ID badge swinging. "Ms. Johnson?" she asks. Maya straightens, heart thumping. "Yes?" "I'm Miss Harris. I'm the social worker on call tonight," she says, voice gentler than the triage nurses, but with an undercurrent of something firmer. "Mind if we talk for a minute?" Maya's stomach clenches. "Is he okay?" she blurts. "The doctor will come explain his medical situation," Miss Harris says. "Right now, I just need to understand who's caring for Jalen and what his home situation looks like. Can we step just outside the curtain? You'll still be able to see him." Maya glances at Jalen. He's drowsy but awake, watching her. "I'll be right here," she tells him. Stepping just far enough to talk but still in his line of sight, Miss Harris flips open her folder. "Okay," she says, pen ready, full name. "Maya Johnson. How long has Jalen been living with you and your husband?" He came for a weekend," Maya says slowly, realizing how bad that sounds. "And then a week. And then school started. So, about 5 months now." "Does his mother live in the same household?" "No," Maya says. "She drops him off. Sometimes she stays a night or two, but no, she's mostly at her place." "Father?" Miss Harris asks. "Not in the picture," Maya says. "Never met him." "And you said earlier you're not his legal guardian?" "No," Maya admits again. I do everything. School, doctor, bedtime, all that." Miss Harris nods, scribbling something. "In your own words," she says carefully, "why is he with you instead of his mom?" It's such a simple question, and yet there's no simple version of the answer. Maya takes a breath. "Tiana lost her daycare voucher," she says. "Then she was bouncing between jobs. Then there was Someone staying with her who yelled a lot and drank a lot. It wasn't a good place for him to sleep or do homework, so we said he could stay a few days, then a few weeks, and now he just lives with us, I guess. Has there ever been a time you felt he was unsafe with his mother, Ms.? Harris asks. Images flash in her mind. Jalen arriving with the same clothes 3 days in a row, the faint smell of smoke in his hair, the way he flinched once when a door slammed. Yes, Maya says quietly. A few times. Miss Harris doesn't look surprised. We've had contact with this family before, she says, tapping the folder. I can't go into all the details right now, but there is a previous report. That's why I'm here tonight. Anytime a child with an active history shows up in the ER, we check in. Maya's pulse hammers. History? She repeats. What does that mean? It means, Miss Harris says, choosing her words with care, that Jalen has been on our radar, and that right now he appears to be living primarily with someone who isn't on any of the legal paperwork as his caregiver. She lets that hang for a moment. I'm not here to attack you, she adds. In fact, from what I'm seeing, she gestures toward the curtain where Jalen is watching them like a hawk, eyes glued to Maya. You're the one he feels safest with. A small lump rises in Maya's throat. So what happens now? She asks. That depends, Ms. Harris says. On his medical status, on whether his mother shows up, on what you're willing to do. Our job is to make sure he has a stable, safe legal caregiver. That might mean kinship placement paperwork, temporary custody orders. Custody? The word feels too big in her mouth. In situations like this, Ms. Harris says gently, if the biological parent isn't consistently able to provide care, the court can grant a relative temporary custody or guardianship, so that doctors and schools and everyone else know exactly who's allowed to make decisions. Sometimes that person is a grandparent, sometimes an aunt, sometimes, she looks Maya straight in the eye. Sometimes, she continues, it's the person everyone keeps calling just the babysitter. Before Maya can respond, there's a loud clatter in the hallway. Tiana stumbles around the corner, eyes wide, hair messier than when Maya saw her last, blazer half-buttoned, like she got dressed in a hurry. Where is he? She cries. Where's my baby? Jalen hears her voice and tenses. Eyes flicking to Maya first, then to the opening in the curtain. Maya's heart does that twist again. Miss Harris closes her folder. We'll continue this conversation, she says quietly. For now, stay with him. Answer the doctor's questions. I'll talk to his mother. Maya returns to the bedside, takes Jalen's hand. He squeezes it like it's the only solid thing in the room. Outside the curtain, voices rise and fall. Tiana defensive and emotional. Ms. Harris calm and unshakable, but inside their small square of fluorescent light, it boils down to something simple. When Jalen is scared and tired and breathing through a machine, he doesn't reach for the people who call themselves real parents. He reaches for the woman everyone brushes off as just the babysitter. And the state, unlike the family, is starting to notice. The next few days feel like living with two different worlds pressed up against each other. On one side, the hospital world with clipboards, forms, and calm voices that make heavy words sound routine. On the other side, the family world with jokes, deflection, and we'll handle it later. Maya is standing right in the crack between them. Jalen is discharged with new meds, a rescue inhaler, and strict instructions. Follow up with his primary care doctor, monitor his breathing, keep him in a stable environment. Stable environment, the ER doctor repeats, looking not just at Tiana, but at Maya too. Routine, consistent sleep, someone who notices if he's getting worse. Asthma's not something we play with. Tiana nods, wringing her hands. Yes, yes, she says, I'll handle it. He's going home with me tonight. Jalen's eyes fly straight to Maya. Her stomach drops. Harris, the social worker, is standing in the doorway. Actually, she says carefully, We've noted that Jalen has been residing primarily with his aunt and uncle for the last several months. For now, we're recommending he remain where his routines and school support already are, until we can complete a home visit and follow-up assessment. Tiana's head jerks up. What you mean? She snaps. I'm his mother. I decide where he stays. I understand that, Ms. Parter, Ms. Harris says evenly. Our first priority is his health and safety. Your name is on the file as his legal parent, but the records from his school and pediatrician all list Ms. Johnson as the primary contact. That tells us who's actually been doing the day-to-day care. Tiana scoffs. That don't matter, she says. I carried him. That's my child. She's just helping out. Ms. Harris doesn't flinch. It does matter to the court, she says. Right now, we're going to document that he's discharged to the household where he's been living, with you having scheduled visitation while we review the case. You'll get all of this in writing. The room goes quiet. Maya can feel both of them looking at her. Tiana with hot resentment, Ms. Harris with something like expectation. I'm not trying to take anybody's child, Maya says, voice low. I just want him to be okay. He knows where his things are at my house. He has a bed, a schedule. I can take him to the follow-up appointment. Jalen's fingers tighten around her hand like a yes. Ms. Harris notes something on her form. Good, she says. We'll need you to come into our office for a kinship care meeting. We'll talk through options: temporary custody, medical consent forms, educational rights. You don't have to decide anything tonight. But we do need to make sure the person doing the caregiving has the authority to keep him safe. The kinship care office is smaller than Maya expects. No towering counters or security guards, just a waiting area with mismatched chairs, a water cooler, and a faded mural of kids holding hands around the world. She sits with a clipboard in her lap, Jalen's file open on the little table in front of her. His name is printed across the top in block letters. Beneath it, a list of dates she didn't know existed, previous reports, home visits she was never told about, notes from caseworkers she's never met. An older woman with soft eyes and locks wrapped in a scarf calls her back. Ms. Johnson, I'm Angela. I supervise kinship placements. Come on in. The office smells like coffee and printer ink. There are framed certificates on the wall, and a small plant in the corner that's trying its best to live. Angela sits, folds her hands, and smiles gently. First, she says, I want to thank you for being there for this child. Not everyone steps up when family is struggling. It's clear you've been showing up. Maya exhales a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. I'm just doing what anyone would do, she says. Angela gives her a look that says, you'd be surprised. She flips a page in the file. From what we can see, Angela says, Jalen has spent more nights with you and your husband than with his mother over the past 5 months. The school lists your address. The nurse lists your number. The ER notes say he clung to you and called you auntie. She glances up. That tells us who his anchor is. The word lands deep. Anchor. He loves his mom, Maya says quickly. I'm not trying to replace her. I don't want to be that person who rips a child away from their parent and... Angela holds up a hand. Slow down, she says softly. This isn't about ripping anybody away. This is about making sure that how he's living matches what's on paper. Right now there's a gap. That gap can be dangerous. Dangerous how? Maya asks. Angela turns the file so Maya can see. There's an emergency contact form here, she says, pointing. When something serious happens, like what you just went through at the ER, doctors need to know who's allowed to authorize treatment. Right now, that name is someone who isn't always reachable, who may or may not have Jalen with her. You step in, you bring him. But if something big happened and we had to make a split-second decision, she taps the blank space where another name could go. Your hands could be tied. Maya stares at the paper. So what are you saying? She asks slowly. That I should adopt him? Not jumping there, Angela says. There are steps before that. One option is temporary custody or guardianship. It would mean you have legal authority to make decisions about his schooling, his health care, where he lives. The court can grant that to a relative when it's clear that's where the child actually is. Maya swallows. And Tiana? She whispers. What happens to her? She would still be his mother. Angela says she would still have rights, visitation, the ability to petition for reunification if she stabilizes. But until then, the court would recognize the reality Jalen is already living, that you are his consistent caregiver. It sounds so simple when Angela says it. On the inside, it feels like ripping open the universe. Suddenly, Maya can hear Devon's voice in her head, loud and mocking. You're just the babysitter. The grown folks will handle the paperwork. Angela studies her face. I'm not here to pressure you, she says. Some aunties say no. They say it's too much, too risky, too political. They keep loving the child but stay out of court. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. I've also seen aunties, women like you, who sign the papers. They say, if I'm doing the work, then I'm going to make sure this child is protected for real. Only you know what you can live with. Maya thinks of Jalen's small hand in hers, the sound of his labored breathing, the way he whispered, "Can I stay here forever?" She thinks of Tiana's eyes at the hospital, wild, defensive, scared of losing something she hasn't truly held in months. I don't want to take her son, Maya says again, voice hoarse. You're not taking him, Angela says quietly. You're catching him before he falls through the cracks. A long silence stretches between them. What would I have to do? Maya asks. Angela slides a form across the desk. It starts with a petition for temporary custody, she says. We file it with the court along with our recommendation. There will be a hearing. The judge will look at the facts, where he sleeps, who feeds him, who takes him to school, and the doctor. They'll consider his mother's situation. They'll listen to you. Maya's eyes skim the form. Petitioner. Relationship to child. Her friend signs something. I need to talk to my husband, she says. Angela nods. Take it home, think about it. Just remember, until someone signs something, Jalen is floating. And kids who float, she shuts the folder gently. They don't always land somewhere soft. Devon doesn't see it that way. He walks into the apartment that evening smelling like cigar smoke and cologne, tie loosened, phone still in his hand. Maya is at the table with the petition, Jalen coloring quietly on the floor at her feet. Hey, she says carefully. We need to talk. He kisses her forehead absent-mindedly, toeing off his shoes. If it's about the ER bill, I'll deal with it later. He says, I had a crazy day, babe, that contract in Decatur. It's not about the bill, she cuts in. He finally looks at her. Her eyes are too steady. The table is too neat. That usually means a conversation he doesn't want to have. What is it then? He sighs. She slides the paper toward him. What's this? He asks, glancing down. Petition for temporary custody, she says. He laughs. A short, disbelieving bark. Of who? He asks. Us? We grown, she says quietly. The social worker explained it. Right now, if something major happens, we don't have the right to make decisions for him. It all defaults to Tiana. Even though he lives here, they want someone stable on paper. They want me to be that person. The smile drops from his face. You, he says slowly. Why you? He's not really asking, he's testing. Because I'm the one who's been doing everything, she answers. The school, the doctor, his asthma meds, homework, bedtime, all that. They see it. They have records. They said if I'm already doing the job, I should have the protection to go with it. His jaw tightens. So what, now you think you know better than his mama? He snaps. You think you some hero? Y'all got in your little ER feelings, and now you out here trying to adopt people. That's not what this is, she says, keeping her voice low. This is about making sure he doesn't end up in foster care if they decide she's unfit. They told me straight up, if a kinship caregiver doesn't step up, the state can place him with strangers. Do you want that? We are the kinship, he shoots back, thumping his chest. I'm his uncle. It should be in my name if anything, not yours. She blinks. You barely make his parent-teacher conferences, she says softly. You don't know his teacher's name. When they asked who brings him to the doctor, my name was in every file. So? He fires back. We're married. We a unit. If your name is on something, my name is on it too. So, that's not how the court sees it, she says. They see individuals. They see actions. They see who shows up. His nostrils flare. Man, you've been hanging around them social worker types too long, he sneers. Now you think you better than us. You think you can just go sign some papers and become his mama? Maya's hand curls into a fist around the pen. I think I can go sign some papers and become the person who can legally say yes when the doctor asks if they can open his airway, she says. I think I can be the person who keeps him in the same school if they decide his mom has to move. That's all. He stares at her for a long second, then laughs again. But there's no humor in it now. You know what your problem is? He says. You don't know your role. You out here trying to be CEO of everybody's life. Tiana just needed help. You were the babysitter. That's it. The grown folks got this. The grown folks? She repeats quietly. The ones who didn't show up at the ER? The ones who didn't answer the phone when his chest was hurting? Devin looks away. You making this too big, he mutters. Paperwork don't raise no kid. Family do. Then why's the state involved? She asks. Why is there a file with his name on it and dates nobody told me about? Why is a stranger the one explaining my nephew's life to me? He doesn't have an answer for that. So he goes back to what he knows. Control. You not filing that, he says finally, voice low and hard. I'm telling you right now, we not about to start some big legal drama in this family. If CPS sees you trying to take him, they gonna think we can't handle our own. They already looking at us funny. You sign that, you making me look weak. You making my sister look bad. Maya looks at him for a long, heavy moment. Jalen is humming to himself on the floor, coloring inside the lines of a cartoon superhero. She already looks bad to them, Maya says, almost whispering. I already look like the one raising him. The difference is, they're offering to give me the tools to keep doing it safely. And you're telling me to turn that down, to protect your pride? His eyes flash. Go on, he growls. I already there, she says. He steps closer, voice dropping. You file that paper without me, he says. And don't forget whose name on this lease. Don't forget who pays the bills up in here. Something cold and clear settles in her chest. There it is. The line he always falls back on when he's out of arguments. You're lucky I take care of you. You're nothing without me. She straightens, meeting his eyes. We both know that's not true, she says. Not anymore. He scoffs and walks away, muttering about ungrateful women and state business. Maya sits back down at the table. Her heart is pounding, but her hand is steady as she picks up the pen. On the line that says petitioner, she writes, Maya Elise Johnson. On the line for relationship to child, she writes, maternal aunt, primary caregiver. She knows exactly what Devin will say when he finds out she filed it anyway. You're overstepping. You're making a mess. You're just the babysitter. But the deeper she wades into the documents, the school records, the medical files, the CPS notes, the clearer it becomes. She's the only adult in this situation who's actually been showing up like a parent. And the paper trail is finally starting to tell the truth. The courthouse doesn't look like the movies. No grand marble staircase, no echoing gavel cracks, just scuffed floors, humming fluorescent lights, and a security guard who's seen it all. Maya stands in a hallway that smells like old paper and hand sanitizer, clutching a manila folder Angela helped her put together. School attendance sheets, doctor visit summaries, the ER discharge papers, a note from Jalen's teacher. Her name is on all of them. Next to her, Miss Harris scrolls through her tablet, calm as ever. Angela stands on the other side, murmuring last-minute reminders. Remember, Angela says quietly, you're not on trial. You're here to tell the truth about what you've already been doing. Answer the judge's questions. Don't talk over anyone. Look at them when you speak. Maya nods, trying to swallow down her nerves. At the other end of the hall, Devin is pacing, jaw tight, suit just a little too shiny. He looks like he's trying to play respectable businessman on short notice. Tiana sits slumped in a chair, sunglasses on indoors, leg bouncing fast. Miss Lorraine fans herself with a folded church program, eyes darting between them all. Devin catches Maya's eye. You happy now? He mutters, walking over. Got the whole state in our business, all because you couldn't just babysit in peace. I'm here because the state was already in our business. She says quietly. I'm just not pretending they're not. He scoffs. Whatever, Maya, he says. Once the judge sees his mama's here, sees I'm his uncle, they'll see you doing the most. This ain't gonna go how you think. A clerk appears at the doorway. Case number 23FC1187, she calls. In the matter of minor child J.C., petition for temporary custody. Maya's legs feel like they're made of sand. They file into the courtroom. It's smaller than she imagined. Worn wooden benches. A raised platform where the judge sits. Black robe neat, glasses perched low. An American flag droops in one corner, the state flag in the other. Maya sits at the table Angela directs her to. Devin, Tiana, and Miss Lorraine sit at the opposite side. Miss Harris takes a space near the front, representing the agency. There's no jury, just the judge and a court reporter who never looks up. All right, the judge says, glancing at the file. We're here on a petition by Ms. Maya Johnson for temporary custody of her nephew, Jalen Carter. CPS is present. Biological mother is present. Uncle is present. Everyone understands why we're here? There's a murmur of yeses. The judge looks over the top of the file at Maya. Ms. Johnson, he says, you filed this petition. You'll go first. Tell me, in your own words, why you're asking for temporary custody. Maya's mouth is dry. She feels every eye in the room on her. She takes a breath and stands. Your Honor, she begins, voice soft but steady. Jalen has been living with me and my husband for about 5 months. It started as a weekend, then a week, then school started, and it just never stopped. She glances at Tiana, then back at the judge. In that time, she continues, I've been the one taking him to school, to the doctor, to soccer practice. He sleeps in our spare room. We have his clothes, his books, his asthma meds at our place. He knows our apartment better than he knows anywhere else. She gestures to the folder. The ER records, his pediatrician's notes, his school files, they all list my address and my phone number as primary contact. When he got sick and had trouble breathing, I was the one who took him to the hospital. His mother wasn't reachable. My husband wasn't there yet. CPS told me that if something more serious happened and a decision had to be made fast, it would fall to whoever's name is on the legal paperwork. She swallows. Right now, that's not me, she says. But in reality, I'm the one raising him. I'm not asking the court to erase his mom. I'm asking for the ability to protect him with the responsibilities I already have. There's a rustle behind her, the soft scratch of the court reporter's keys. The judge nods slowly. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, he says. You can sit. He turns to Miss Harris. Miss Harris, CPS recommendation? She stands, hands clasped behind her back. Your Honor, the agency's position is that the child is safest and most stable in the petitioner's household, she says. We've reviewed school records, medical records, and conducted a home visit. The minor has expressed strong attachment to Ms. Johnson. We support a temporary custody order in her favor, with structured visitation for the biological mother. Tiana snorts loudly. So y'all just gonna hand my baby to her because she good at paperwork, she blurts. The judge's eyes flick to her. Miss Carter, he says sharply, we'll have a chance to speak. You will not interrupt anyone, including this court. Am I clear? She crosses her arms. Yes, Your Honor, she mutters. He nods. Good. Miss Carter, please step up. She walks to the front, taking off her sunglasses. Her eyes are red-rimmed, anger and fear battling in her expression. Miss Carter, the judge says, do you dispute that your son has primarily been residing With your sister-in-law for the past several months? No, she says, shoulders tight. He been over there a lot. I've been working, trying to get back on my feet. They said they would help. And has that help been consistent? He asks. Have there been gaps in the child's care? She hesitates. She been there, Tiana admits reluctantly. I ain't saying she ain't done nothing. I appreciate it. But that's my son. They were supposed to be holding him down while I got myself together, not trying to steal him. The judge's voice softens a fraction. No one is making a final, permanent decision about parental rights today, he says. What we're talking about is who holds legal authority while you get yourself together, as you say. There are ER notes indicating you were difficult to reach during a medical emergency. There are previous CPS reports. There are concerns about other adults in your home. He taps the file. You'll have every opportunity to work a case plan, attend services, and petition for reunification, he says. But until then, this child's life cannot be in limbo. Tiana's chin trembles. So what? She gets promoted to mom? She spits, jerking her head toward Maya. She happy now? She always wanted to play Mother of the Year. Devin takes that as his cue. He stands, smoothing his jacket, stepping up next. Your Honor, he says, voice coated in charm. If the court is looking for a stable adult male figure, I'm right here. I'm his uncle. Blood. I've been in that boy's life since he was born. I'm the one who told my sister to bring him to our place. If somebody's going to be on some legal paperwork, it should be me, not, he flicks his hand like he can't find the word, not the babysitter. The word hits the air like a slap. Maya feels her face burn. The judge raises an eyebrow. The babysitter? He repeats. Devin smiles, thinking he's making his point. I mean that respectfully. He lies. She loves him, sure. But I'm the one paying the rent. I provide the roof. I'm the one who makes sure there's food in that fridge. She's got a big heart, but she don't understand the grown-up side of things. Money, paperwork, all that. She gets emotional. We don't need to be dragging the court into family business when I can handle it like a man. The judge's eyes go back to the file. Mr. Hale, he says, do you attend the child's school meetings? Devin blinks. What? He says. I mean, sometimes I wanted to, but work. Do you take him to doctor appointments? The judge cuts in. That's more her lane, Devin says, jerking his chin toward Maya. She got flexible hours. Who brought him to the emergency room during his recent asthma episode? The judge asks mildly. Devin shifts. She did, he says. But who is listed as his emergency contact at school? The judge asks, tapping the papers. Devin doesn't answer. The judge continues. The records show that in every instance where an adult was required to physically show up and advocate for this child's needs, Miss Johnson is the one who did so, he says. You may pay bills, Mr. Hale, but the person doing the raising, the person this child clings to when he can't breathe, is not just the babysitter. The room goes very quiet. Behind Maya, Miss Lorraine shifts on the bench, her fan suddenly still. The judge looks toward the back, where a small figure sits on a bench with a coloring book, swinging his feet. Jalen, he says gently, can you come up here for a second, buddy? Maya's heart stutters. She didn't know they'd ask him to speak. A bailiff helps guide him to the front, standing beside a small chair. The judge leans forward, his voice softer. Hi, Jalen, he says. My name is Judge Carter. I'm here to help the grown-ups decide where you're going to be staying for a while. I'm not going to make you choose between people, okay? I just want to ask you a few simple questions. Jalen nods, eyes huge. Who helps you with your homework? The judge asks. Auntie Maya, he whispers. Who takes you to the doctor? Auntie Maya. Who do you sleep with at home? The judge asks, catching himself, then rephrases. Whose house do you sleep at most nights? Auntie Maya's house, Jalen says, with Uncle Dev. But he's not there a lot. He works. Auntie makes dinner. The judge nods slowly. When you had trouble breathing, he asks, who did you ask for? Jalen looks over his shoulder, finds Maya's eyes, then turns back. "Auntie," he says simply. "That's all I need to know," the judge says. "Thank you, young man. You can go sit back down now." Jalen shuffles back to the bench. Maya squeezes his hand as he passes. The judge straightens the papers one last time. "All right," he says, voice formal again. "I've heard enough." The courtroom seems to lean forward as one. Based on the evidence presented, the judge continues, "This court finds that while the biological mother retains her parental status, the minor child's day-to-day care and stability have been primarily provided by the petitioner, Miss Maya Johnson, until such time as the mother completes a reunification plan and can demonstrate consistent, safe care. A temporary custody order is appropriate." He picks up a pen. "Therefore," he says, "temporary legal and physical custody of the minor child JC is granted to Maya Elise Johnson, maternal aunt and primary caregiver. The child's mother is granted supervised visitation as arranged through CPS. Mr. Hale, as the child's uncle and resident of the same household, may be included in the care plan, but the legal decision-making authority will rest with Ms. Johnson." Devon's mouth falls open. "Wait, so she—" he starts. The judge holds up a hand. "You said she was just the babysitter, Mr. Hale," he says. "The documents and your nephew say otherwise. The person who shows up for a child, that's the person this court recognizes." He signs the order with a quick flourish. The clerk stamps it. The sound is small but final. Dunk. Maya watches as a copy is handed to her. Her name is printed at the top in bold, "Custodial Guardian, Maya Elise Johnson." Underneath, in smaller letters, "Secondary Contact, Devon Hale, Maternal Uncle. Biological Mother, Tiana Carter, Visitation is ordered." Her fingers shake as she takes the paper. It's just words on a page, but it feels like the whole universe has shifted a few inches. Behind her, she hears Devon's low growl. "I can't believe this," he mutters. "You really let them put your name before mine? Before his own mama? Over some babysitting? You got the system thinking you running everything." Maya turns, the order still warm in her hand. "I didn't let them do anything," she says quietly. "They read what's already true. You called me the babysitter. The judge called me the person showing up. Now the papers do too." She looks down at Jalen, who's pressing himself into her side, fingers tangled in her shirt. For the first time, there's a line of ink backing up what his little hands have been saying all along. When the world wants to know who he belongs with, her name comes first. Her name comes first. The paper doesn't change everything overnight. The dishes still pile up, the rent still needs paying, Jalen still leaves his socks everywhere and forgets his lunchbox at school at least once a week. But something in the air inside that small apartment is different now. It starts that same night. They're back from court. Jalen has knocked out on the couch mid-cartoon, half a chicken nugget still on his plate. The custody order sits on the table, edges curling a little. Devon is pacing. "You really stood there and let that man put your name over mine?" he mutters. "Over his mama's, like you some saint." Maya is wiping down the counter. Her motions are slow, controlled, like every swipe is keeping her from saying something she'll regret. "You heard what the judge said," she replies. "He didn't pick based on feelings. He picked based on who's been doing the work." "I do the work." Devon snaps. "Who you think keeping the lights on? Who you think paying for that boy's cleats, huh?" Maya puts the cloth down and turns to him. "I'm not saying you don't contribute," she says. "I'm saying the court recognized something you don't want to look at. You hold the money. I hold the child." He laughs harshly. "You hold the child," he mimics. "Girl, you better stop letting these people gas you up. You not special. You just got time on your hands. I'm the one keeping this roof over both your heads. Don't get it twisted." There it is again. "You're lucky I pay the bills." The same line he pulled out when she wanted to finish night classes, when she wanted to visit her mother for a week, when she suggested therapy after one exploding argument too many. He jabs a finger at the custody papers. "Let me make something clear," he says. "I don't care what some judge scribbled on a piece of paper. This is my house. You and that boy here because I allow it. You start acting big-headed, I can end that real quick. A month ago, that would have made her shrink. Tonight, she hears something else underneath his threat. Fear. Not for Jalen. For his own image, his own control. Maya walks over to the table, picks up the order, and holds it between them. You're right, she says quietly. This is your lease. Your name's on the light bill, the Wi-Fi, the car note. But this, she taps the document, this is what the state cares about. If you decide to start playing eviction games, you know who looks unstable on paper? Not me. He scoffs. What you talking about? He says. Think about it, she says. CPS just filed a whole report saying I'm the stable caregiver. They did a home visit. They saw Jalen's room. They saw my routines. They gave me custody because this is a stable placement. If you suddenly kick us out because your ego is bruised, what do you think that looks like to the judge? He doesn't answer. They'll see a man so busy proving he's in charge, she continues, that he put his nephew at risk of homelessness. They'll see someone who cares more about who looks weak than about where a 6-year-old sleeps. His jaw clenches. You trying to threaten me with CPS now? He growls. No, she says. I'm telling you the truth. This piece of paper doesn't make me better than you. It makes me responsible. Which means, from now on, when you say things like, I can end this real quick, you're not just talking to me. You're talking about a legal placement for a child who has a file, a caseworker, and a judge who already has us all on his radar. It's the first time she's seen him at a loss for words. He looks away first. Man, whatever, he mutters. Y'all can have your little court party. I'm done talking about this. He grabs his keys and his phone, throws on a jacket. I'm heading out, he says. Don't wait up. The door closes harder than it needs to. Maya stands in the quiet kitchen, the echo of the slam vibrating in her bones. On the couch, Jalen stirs. Auntie, he mumbles, blinking sleepily. Did Uncle Dev leave? Yeah, baby, she says, softening her voice. He just went out for a bit. Is he mad? Jalen asks. She walks over and tucks a blanket around him, fingers gentle. He's adjusting, she says honestly. Sometimes grown-ups need time when things change. He nods, already half asleep again. You gonna be here when I wake up? He asks, eyes drifting closed. Her throat tightens. I'm gonna be here, she says. That's what this paper means. I'm not going anywhere. The changes after that are small, but they add up. Maya makes copies of the custody order and the medical consent form Angela helped her file. One goes in a folder by the door. One stays in her bag. One she hands to the school front office. The secretary scans it, eyebrows arching. So you're his legal guardian now? She asks. Temporary custody, Maya clarifies. But yeah, if anything happens, you call me first. The secretary nods, relief clear on her face. To be honest, she says, we've been doing that anyway. It's good to have it official. At the pediatrician's office, the nurse updates their system. Guardian name? She asks. Maya Johnson, Maya replies. The nurse types, then smiles. Okay, Miss Johnson, she says. From now on, you're the one signing everything. The wording hits her unexpectedly. From now on, you're the one signing everything. She thinks about all the times Devin snatched a bill out of her hand, saying, you don't need to worry about that, I got it. Maybe he does got the bills. But when it comes to this child, she's the signature that matters. At home, Devin oscillates between sulking, pretending nothing has changed, and taking petty shots when he's frustrated. He comes home late, sees a permission slip on the table. You signing everything now? He grumbles, tossing his keys down. Yes, she says simply. They need a guardian signature. That's me. He rolls his eyes. One Saturday, when she tells him she's taking Jalen to therapy, part of the case plan to help him process everything, he snorts. Therapy? He scoffs. We didn't need no therapy growing up. We had whoopings. Y'all doing the most. He a kid. He'll be all right. Maybe if more of us had therapy, she says quietly, We wouldn't be repeating the same mess now. He glares over his cereal bowl. You think you better than us now? He mutters. She doesn't answer. Because this isn't about better. It's about breaking a pattern. The real shift comes one evening when the landlord posts a notice about rent increases. It's just a generic letter slid under the door, but Devin reacts like it's a personal insult. I'm not paying an extra $200 for this shoebox, he rants, waving the paper. We should move to my cousin's place on the east side. He got a house, bigger, cheaper. We could all crash there for a while. It don't make sense to stay here. Maya's heart stops. The east side cousin is the one always in some mess. People coming and going at all hours, random business meetings in the driveway, constant police sirens in the background. It's not a place for a child who wheezes when there's too much smoke in the air. Jalen's school is here, Maya says carefully. His doctor, his therapist, his caseworker. If we move across town, we have to transfer everything. New school, new bus route, new case notes. CPS might not see that as a good thing. Devin shrugs. So, we family, he says. We can tell them it's better. Bigger yard, more space. They don't need to know everything. That's not how it works, she says. If we move, I have to notify the court. They have to approve the new environment. They're still monitoring his case, remember? He scoffs. You scared of some social worker? He says. You really letting them run our life? I'm letting stability run our life, she says. Jalen just started sleeping through the night again. He just stopped waking up asking if he's going back to mommy's every weekend. I'm not yanking him out of everything that's finally solid because you found a cheaper couch to put him on. Devin's eyes harden. Okay, he says slowly. Let me make this plain. I'm not about to struggle more so some kid that ain't even mine can keep his nice little routine. If the rent goes up and I say we moving, we moving. Maya looks at him, really looks. At the man she loved, the man she built a life with, the man who can't see that the child sleeping one room over is not a temporary guest, but a human being who watches every move they make. If you want to move, she says quietly, you can move. He blinks. What? He says. You can move, she repeats. But if CPS comes out and sees us sharing a bed at your cousin's house while people are coming in and out all night, they're not going to leave Jalen with us. They'll take him. And I won't let that happen. He laughs in disbelief. You telling me you'd stay here without me? He asks. Pay this high rent by yourself? On your little front desk salary? You trippin'. Something almost like a smile touches her lips. I won't be paying it by myself, she says. Angela told me about housing support programs for kinship caregivers. There are subsidies, child-only TANF, even legal aid if I need it. Turns out when you step up for a kid, there are systems that step up for you too. He stares at her like she's speaking another language. So what? You choosing him over me? He demands. The question hangs there. In a way, she's known the answer for months. But this is the first time he's asked it out loud. I'm choosing not to make him the one who pays the price for our mess, she says. If that feels like I'm choosing him over you, then maybe you should ask yourself why. The silence between them is thick. Devin looks from her face to the custody order stuck on the fridge with a magnet. A quiet reminder that someone outside their walls is watching, keeping track. He crumples the rent increase notice and tosses it in the sink. Do what you want, he mutters. Y'all can have this apartment. I'm not killing myself for it. He grabs his duffel bag from the closet, the one he keeps half-packed, just in case, and starts stuffing clothes in. Maya watches him, feeling a strange mixture of grief and relief. You leaving? She asks. I ain't about to sit here and feel like a guest in my own house. He spits. You the big guardian now. Miss Custody, miss signing everything. Enjoy it. He slings the bag over his shoulder. I'll send something for the boy. He adds like it's an afterthought. Don't have the state calling me no deadbeat. Then he's gone. The door clicks shut softly this time, not angry, just Done. For a long minute, Maya stands in the middle of the living room, surrounded by the echoes of every argument, every joke, every late-night Netflix movie they ever shared. Her eyes fall on the couch, where a pair of small sneakers sit neatly by the armrest. She hears a little voice from down the hall. "Auntie?" Jalen calls sleepily. "Did Uncle leave again?" "Yeah, baby," she says, walking toward his room. "It's just us tonight." She tucks it in, smoothing his hair off his forehead. "You mad?" he asks, eyes searching her face. "No," she says honestly. "I'm sad a little, but I'm not mad, and I'm not scared." He relaxes a bit. "You gonna be here when I wake up?" he asks again. Same question, same tiny tremble. She smiles and leans down to kiss his forehead. "I'm gonna be here," she says. "That's one thing that's not changing." Months pass. The rent increase kicks in, but so does a small housing subsidy Angela helped her apply for. The caseworker comes by for follow-ups, checking Jalen's room, his school reports, his breathing logs. Each time, Maya's signature is on more and more papers, field trip forms, medication consents, even the foster info sheet the school had to fill out for their records. Guardian, it says next to her name. Sometimes he shows up for an afternoon at the park. Sometimes he goes away for a game and a birthday gift. Sometimes he doesn't, which hurts but in a different way. Tiana comes to supervised visits. Some days she's distant, eyes dull. Some days she's present, playing Uno and braiding his hair, laughing at his jokes. On those days, Maya sits in the corner of the visitation room and watches quietly. She's not here to replace anybody. She's here to make sure there's someone to catch him when they drop the ball. One afternoon, Angela calls with news. "The court reviewed your case," she says. "Given how stable things have been, they're offering to convert the temporary order to long-term guardianship. It's still not adoption. His mom keeps her rights, but it pushes his stability beyond just a few months at a time." Maya looks over at the kitchen table. It's covered in Jalen's homework, a half-finished science project, and a crayon drawing of the three of them. Him, her, and a stick figure man with a question mark where the head should be. She thinks about all the times she's heard, "You're just the babysitter. You're lucky I pay the bills." She thinks about standing in that courtroom, hearing a judge say, "The person who shows up for a child, that's the person this court recognizes." "Yeah," she says slowly into the phone. "Tell me what I have to sign." When the new order arrives in the mail a few weeks later, she opens it at the table. It's shorter than the first one, cleaner, less chaos in the file now. But right there at the top, in clear, black letters, in strong letters, legal guardian, Maya Elise Johnson. She catches her reflection in the microwave door. Tired eyes, soft lines from worry and laughing and staying up late to finish Halloween costumes from YouTube tutorials. She doesn't look like some movie hero. She looks like a woman who got tired of everyone calling her just the babysitter, while she held a whole life together with her bare hands. Jalen runs in from the bedroom, backpack bouncing. "Auntie, can we go to the park?" he asks. "I finished my homework." "Yeah," she says, standing up and tucking the order into a folder labeled important papers. "We can go." "Can we get ice cream too?" he pushes, grinning. "Maybe," she says, "if you promise to use your inhaler before we run around." He nods solemnly. "Yes, ma'am," he says. Her phone buzzes on the table. A text from Devin. "You still got that boy?" She looks at the screen for a second, then types back, "No, he's got me." She drops the phone in her bag, grabs her keys, and holds out her hand to Jalen. He slips his small fingers into hers automatically, without looking, like he's done 100 times now. On the fridge behind them, held up by a magnet from the aquarium, the guardianship order sits quietly. No fanfare, no spotlight. Just proof. Proof that even when a man with a bruised ego called her just the babysitter, she was so much more. And now she had this. Even when he boasted he paid the bills, the people who protect children looked at the facts and wrote something different. They wrote her name first.